Welcome to voice print identification. When you see the red light go on, would you please state in the following order your destination, your nationality, and your full name?
Moon, American, Floyd, Haywood R.
Thank you. You are cleared through voice print identification.
Thank you.
Quite frankly, we have had some very reliable intelligence reports that quite a serious epidemic has broken out into Clavis.
I know there have been some conflicting views held by some of you regarding the need for complete security.
Something apparently of an unknown origin.
However, I accept the need for absolute secrecy in this.
This is in fact what has happened.
I'm really not at liberty to discuss this.
We thought it might be the upper part of some buried structure, so we excavated out on all sides, but unfortunately we didn't find anything else.
It hasn't been covered up by natural erosion or other forces. It seems to have been deliberately buried.
4-million-year-old black monolith has remained completely inert, except for a single, very powerful radio emission.
3 weeks ago, the American spacecraft Discovery 1 left on its half-billion-mile voyage to Jupiter.
The sixth member of the Discovery crew was the HAL 9000 computer.
Everything is going extremely well.
One gets the sense that he is capable of emotional responses.
Well, hell, I'm dead if I can find anything wrong.
No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information.
Look, Dave, I can't put my finger on it, but I sense something strange about it.
Just a moment. Just a moment.
Do you know what happened?
I'm sorry, Dave. I don't have enough information.
Made radio contact with him yet?
The radio is still dead.
Hello, Hal, do you read me? Hello, Hal, do you read me? You read me, Hal?
Do you read me, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Hello YouTube and YouTubettes. Today we're going to review the movie 2001 A Space Odyssey. My name is Rob.
And my name is Jonathan.
And to tell us a little bit about this movie, Jonathan, tell us a little bit.
2001 A Space Odyssey was released in 1968 and was directed by the renowned Stanley Kubrick and was also written by Kubrick along with science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke. And it stars Cara Delevingne and Gary Lockwood, but that's not that important because there's not a whole lot of acting in this movie.
All right, so a little bit about this movie. Just, I think basically it's about evolution, but mainly it's a movie about, it's really more about the visual effects than anything else. And for 1968, it is very ahead of its time, and it doesn't stand out at all. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about some of our favorite things in this movie. All right, now we're going to talk about our favorite actor. Who is your favorite actor, Jonathan?
Well, I did sound kind of negative in the introduction, but there is a performance that did stand out to me, and it was only a voice acting performance. It was the voice of the HAL 9000 computer, done by William Sylvester. It is very calm, but it leaves the biggest impression out of anyone in the movie. Everyone else, it's not that people are bad. It's just that this is really the only one that just stands out at you.
Yes, I totally agree. I'm also going to say Hal, the voice of Hal, William Sylvester. And now our least favorite actor. Jonathan, who is your least favorite?
Well, my least favorite is everybody else, and it has nothing to do with that the people are bad. I think they did what Kubrick instructed them to do, and Kubrick did not intend this to be a very character or personality-driven movie. It's very little dialogue, and so there's not a whole lot for the human characters in this movie to say or do. So because they don't leave an impression on me, I'm just going to say that the rest of the performances are technically my least favorite.
Yeah, overall, I think I agree with you, but I put Keir Dullea. I just think it was very bland and boring, but I think in general it was trying to be a very naturalistic kind of performance overall. All right, favorite scene. Jonathan, what is your favorite scene in the movie?
This movie has a lot of iconic scenes, so even though there's not much in the way of favorite acting performances, there are a lot I could choose from with scenes. My personal favorite would actually be near the beginning. It would be, it starts out with the time before mankind, when they're just apes on the earth, according to the movie, and one of the apes, after encountering this extraterrestrial force, picks up a bone and realizes this is a tool, and so starts using it to smash things, and it's played with a very dramatic, I think it's called Also Sprach Zarathustra music, that everyone knows even if they don't know the title. But I thought it was interesting that the first advancement that mankind seems to make is violent, because he's using this tool to smash things, and I thought that was kind of profound, and it kind of shows Kubrick's cynicism regarding mankind.
My favorite scene was when, and in case you haven't seen this, if you don't want a spoiler, I know it's 68, so, but anyway, there might be a spoiler here. Turning off Hal was a very, very interesting scene to me, and I like the way Hal is trying to get the actor to stop, and also starts to sing the song Rosie, which I think is kind of funny, actually. That is my favorite scene in the movie. It was actually Daisy, not Rosie. But anyway, what is your... okay, now we're going to grade the acting. What do you think overall about the acting, Jonathan?
I didn't want to grade it too low, because even though there wasn't much for actors to do, I mean, there are parts of the movie where they seem convincing. Like Rob said, it is very naturalistic. It seems less like a movie and more like, oh, these are what scientists do, and this is how they talk. So ultimately, I give it a 6.
Yeah, I give it a 5 out of 10. I think it was passable for what it was. If you're looking for a very natural, like how people normally just talk, which isn't very interesting, but that's kind of what they were going for. It doesn't fail, but at the same time, it's just 5 out of 10. All right, the production and direction of the movie. Jonathan, give us your thoughts.
Well, normally there's so many awesome things that happen, how the camera is used, just the visuals in the movie, that it could be an easy 10 out of 10. The only reason why I don't quite do that, I give it an 8. And the reason why I do that, and this is more related to editing, but because production, Stanley Kubrick was also the producer in addition to the director, so how long a scene went, was ultimately determined by him. And there are a couple scenes, when you have 2 astronauts with Hal, and they go out to fix a problem that Hal tells them that there's a problem with their spaceship. And the scene, this whole movie is very slow, but most of the time it keeps my attention. But during this scene, all there's no soundtrack, there's just, you hear the sound of their breathing. And hearing the breathing sound in their suits after, 5 minutes got kind of tedious after a while. So that's why I don't grade it as high as some might think I should, because it is a very well directed and produced movie. But 8 out of 10.
Yes, I agree. I give it a 9 out of 10, but I think overall the only thing I don't like about it is it can be a little slow, but I think that does build up drama. I think just about everything else about it was great, and also the way that the acting was directed. But again, it's a very naturalistic thing, so that's just the choice that they made. So 9 out of 10 for directing, producing. All right, next we're going to do visual effects. Jonathan, what are your thoughts on visual effects?
I'm going to say what everyone else says. They were amazing. I give it a 9 out of 10, though, because there are a couple of shots, just a couple, where you can kind of see it's made from the 60s, like something will not look like a model, it'll look like something that's flat. But besides that, though, I mean, it's very good. You know, it would take a book to talk about how great they are, so I'll just leave it at that. I mean, late 60s, who knew that anyone would be capable of this?
Oh, come on. How can you not give it a 10 out of 10? I have to give it a 10 out of 10, considering this was 9 years before Star Wars, and I think it's better than Star Wars visually speaking.
I was a little bit
And
nitpicky.
I think, considering there's no computer graphics, well, it kind of helps probably, but it's amazing. 1968, and it looks like this. 10 out of 10 for me. Now we're going to talk about the writing of the movie. Jonathan, what is your thoughts on that?
Well, writing is a very interesting thing because sometimes I don't know what is written and what's done by the director, because there's not a whole lot of dialogue in the movie, and so sometimes I wonder if certain things that happen is simply something that Kubrick, as a director, said, let's do it like this. So because there's not a whole lot of dialogue in there, not that dialogue needs to happen, because it's a very visual movie, but I think especially at the end, actually I don't know, but I just can't give it a perfect score. I say it does have very good themes, but I give it a 7 out of 10.
Yes, I also give it a 7 out of 10. I think there's not really a lot of dialogue, other than I think the interesting dialogue is in the Hal, turning off Hal scene. But other than that, most of the dialogue is just like people talking. So 7 out of 10 for me. All right, now we're going to talk about the soundtrack of the movie. Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, it's another iconic soundtrack. Not just that, the visuals are iconic, the scenes. A lot of the music in this film became famous because of the film, even though all of it's like old classical music. And I would have to say that I don't give it a 10 out of 10 in some ways, just because, all of it was kind of taken from a certain source, and like I said, there are those slow scenes where there is no music, and the music actually makes things more interesting, but when there is no music and things are going slowly, the film drags. So in some ways I kind of wish they had more of it, actually. So I give it an 8.5. You got the ballet, the Blue Danube is one of my favorites, and the weird avant-garde vocal choir, whenever you see this extraterrestrial force, is very unnerving. So yeah, it's very solid. 8.5.
Oh yeah, the vocal thing at the end. I don't remember that, but yeah, you're right. I give it a 9 out of 10, and the music that sticks out to me is by Richard Strauss, called Zarathustra, and just that powerful piece of music. All right, so 9 out of 10 for me. Now we're going to give our final thoughts, final synopsis or meaning of the movie and the score. So Jonathan, what are your final thoughts?
I would say the main themes of the movie are advancement, rebirth, and the consequences of progress. It is not a normal 3-act movie that follows the same characters through each act. It's really a general movie about mankind's place in the universe, really. Very heady stuff. I give the film, the overall score that I give the film is a 7.7, which is good, but kind of low for his films. It's actually, of the Kubrick films I've seen Strangelove, Paths to Glory, Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket. This one actually didn't rank as high for me among his films, but it's still great. I highly recommend it.
And I give this one an 8.0 out of 10. And to me, what this movie means is it's just a evolution put on film, I guess. The past man, the original ape man, and going all the way to some next step in evolution, I guess. And so an 8.0 is my score. All right, so have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoyed this.